In a lively African village, the wealthy Okoye family lived in a grand mansion. The rooms were decorated with beautiful, colorful wall hangings and beautiful light fixtures that sparkled like stars. The grand entrance featured a cave staircase, and the furniture was both luxurious and cozy. Outside, the garden was a peaceful paradise with winding paths, bright flowers, and calming swimming pool. Mr. Okoye is a successful businessman, owns several thriving businesses in the village. Mrs. Okoye, his elegant wife, made sure their home was beautiful. Their 3 children each had unique talent. The eldest was a bright scholar, the middle child an artist, and the youngest a lively dreamer. Mrs. Okoye turned the mansion into a dazzling home in the village. Mr. Okoye was known for his overwhelming arrogance. He showed off his wealth in grand fashion, from his lavish mansion and designer clothes to his over-the-top parties. He loved to talk about himself, boasting about his successes in a way that left no room for anyone else in the conversation. His attitude made it clear he deserved special treatment and constant praise. Mr. Okoye's obsession with his wealth made him overlook recollections with people. His need for admiration overshadowed any chance for meaningful interactions, making him seem more interested in impressing others than in building genuine relationships. To the villagers, Mr. Okoye was a man whose flashy lifestyle masked a lack of true connection. On the other side of the village was a poor man named Juma. He lived in a small, humble hut with his wife and 2 children. Their home was modest, with walls made of woven branches and a thatched roof that rustled gently in the breeze. Though their living conditions were simple and their resources scarce, Juma and his family found contentment in the little they had. Each day, Juma worked hard, tending to a small garden and making repairs to their home. His hands were rough from labor, yet he never complained. Despite their financial struggle, the family shared the little they had with their neighbors, always ready with a warm smile and happy hands. Their tiny home was a place of warmth and laughter. The children's giggles often echoed through the air, and the aroma of simple meals cooking over an open fire filled the space with a comforting scent. The family's generosity extended beyond their home, as they frequently invited neighbors to share in their modest meals and offered a listening ear to those in need. One day, as Juma walked on a small farm, a piercing cry shattered the calm of the afternoon. His heart raced as he dashed towards the sand, his boots creaking updoors with each frantic step. As he rounded the corner, he found his wife collapsed on the ground, struggling to breathe, eyes pale and eyes wide with pain. Desperation gripped Juma as he knelt beside her, tears streaming down his face. "Please, my love, don't leave us," he pleaded, his voice trembling. Without a moment's hesitation, he dashed towards his tiny aunt, scrambling through the cluttered room in search of anything that might help. His mind raced with panic. What if she dies? He thought, the weight of the thought crushing him. I have no money, no way to get her to the hospital in town. The thought of their holy hope slipping away while he stood powerless was unbearable. His hands grabbing anything that might be of use. A few herbs he had gathered for emergencies, and whole dusty first aid kit. Every second felt like an eternity. As he raced back to his wife's side, his heart pounding with fear and urgency. Juma's world felt like it was closing in on him. The suffocating reality of his poverty mingling with the raw fear of losing the woman he loved. With every hope he had left, he worked desperately to revive her. Fortunately, Juma's quick action and the help he used managed to help his wife recover. Slowly, her breathing steadied and she opened her eyes, looking at him with weak but grateful expressions. Relief washed over Juma, but beneath it lay a deep unspoken pain. As he sat by her side, the weight of his poverty felt heavier than ever. His wife's near-death experience had highlighted the stark reality of their situation. Though she was safe for now, Juma couldn't shake the fear of what might happen if another emergency arose. The lack of money and resources left him feeling helpless and anxious about their future. Juma's heart ached not just from the scars, but from the constant struggle to provide for his family. Every day was a battle against the limitation imposed by their poverty. One day, as Mrs. Okoye drove through the village in a luxury car, it suddenly stopped on the side of the road and Mrs. Okoye found herself stranded. Feeling both frustrated and helpless, she tried to start the engine again, but it was no of use. The frustration of being stuck in chores and inconvenient situation weighed heavily on her. Just then, Juma happened to walk by. He noticed Mrs. Okoye's car and saw her sitting inside, looking distressed. Despite his own struggles, he approached her and asked if she needed any help. Mrs. Okoye looks at Juma in surprise. She had never expected someone from the other side of the village to come to her aid. "Yes, please," she said. Juma got to work, examining the car and doing his best to face the problem. As he walked, Mrs. Okoye watched, amazed by his willingness to help despite his own mother's situation. Juma spent the rest of the day helping Mrs. Okoye fix her car. "Madam, I'm done with your car," Juma said, wiping his hands off. "Oh, thank you so much," Mrs. Okoye replied, reaching into her purse. "Please take this for all your trouble." Juma stepped back, raising his hands. "No, I didn't do it for money," he said firmly. "I just wanted to help." Mrs. Okoye was touched by Juma's kindness and selflessness. To show her gratitude, invited him to their mansion for a meal. Juma was surprised and grateful for the invitation, and Mrs. Okoye's gesture made the day even more special for both of them. As Juma stepped into the mansion, he was struck by its beauty. The wall decor sparkled like stars, and the middle floors gleamed under his feet. He had never seen anything so magnificent. Mr. Okoye greeted him with a broad smile, extending a warm welcome, and treated him like an honored guest. A feast was prepared with dishes that looked as if they were made for royalty, and Mr. Okoye personally showed Juma around their expensive home. However, as the day gone by, Juma began to notice something unsettling. Despite the beauty and luxury, there was a coldness to the mansion. It lacked the warmth he knew from his own humble home. There was no love, no laughter, and no sense of togetherness. The family members seemed like strangers, each absorbed in his own world, surrounded by their possessions but isolated from one another. After the dinner, Juma shared stories about his life and the close-knit community in the village. He invited them for dinner at his humble home. He wanted them to experience the warmth and simplicity of his family's life. On Saturday evening, the Okoye's family visited Juma's home. They were amazed by what they saw in the community. Despite their differences, the villagers had something money couldn't buy: happiness and togetherness. From that day on, the Okoye's family began to spend more time with Juma and his family. Juma, with his warm heart and simple wisdom, gently persuaded the Okoyes to build better relationships with people around him. He shared stories of his own life and highlighted the importance of community and kindness and togetherness. Juma invited the Okoye's family to join in village activities. Introducing them to his neighbors and friends, they attended small gatherings, shared meals, and even helped with local projects. Through this experience, the Okoyes began to see the joy and fulfillment that came from genuine connection and helping others. Gradually, the Okoye's family learned the value of simplicity and the happiness that comes from giving. They started to share moments of togetherness and began to build a real relationship in the village. They also decided to help Juma with a small business, offering financial support and advice. With their help, Juma's business flourished. He was able to provide a better life for his family, and the bond between the Okoyes and Juma's family grew stronger. Through Juma's gentle guidance, the Okoye's family discovered that true wealth comes from love, generosity, and the connection we make with others. The Okoye family and Juma soon became good friends, and their bond was celebrated throughout the village. It was like a storybook come to life, where two families from different worlds found harmony together. The rich family, having spent time in Juma's world, learned a profound lesson like him. They discovered that true wealth wasn't measured by the size of their mansion or the richness of their belongings, but by the love and relationship they share. This revelation transformed their lives, filling them with a deep sense of fulfillment and joy. The village thrived on this new connection, where the richness of the heart became the greatest treasure of all.